JT Crowley is Talking Books. On the show, you'll hear from emerging talent and seasoned veterans from around the world.
Hello, I'm JT Crowley, and I'm super excited to have on my show today Paola Iglesias and her children, Oscar and Emmeline, to talk about the book, Words Choose Wisely. Paola was born in Buenos Aires in Argentina, and at the age of 6 months emigrated with her parents to Australia for what they all saw as a better life. Paola currently lives in Sydney as an architect, designing dream homes for people. Paola strongly believes that everyone has language at their disposal, but how they choose to use that language can have a significant effect on those around them, and that people should carefully consider the words they use when talking to people. Some words, although spelt the same, can have different meanings when used in varying circumstances. And what might be a perfectly innocent word in its own right can, when taken in the wrong context, be harmful. And when used persistently over a long period of time, can be considered as a form of verbal bullying, leading those who are being addressed in this fashion to be demeaned, belittled. Negative words can have a profound, long-lasting effect to the intent, so-called target. So much so, the impact of those ill-judged words can bring about life-threatening situations. Paola believes we need to educate young minds so that they understand the implications of the words they choose to use when speaking to others at times can be harmful. So, in collusion with her son, Oscar's illustrations, she wrote the book, Words Choose Wisely. So let's get a better understanding of this book and also talk to Oscar about the wonderful illustrations, the stick characters, I call them, and he's quite happy, everybody, for me to call them stick characters. Let's invite them on the show. So Paola, Emmeline, Oscar, come and join me on the show.
Hi. Hello, John.
Good to speak to you guys. And for those who, I perhaps have not said, but this family, they live in Sydney in Australia. So for me, it's 8 o'clock in the morning here in the United Kingdom, and for them, it's 5 o'clock in the evening. Bit of a time difference, but there you go. Paola, words can be complementary, but when used in the wrong context, be that naively or purposefully, they can have a devastating effect on those around them, particularly if they're used to demean a person over a sustained period. Would you agree?
Very much so. And often it's the most subtle words that you don't think that have any effect, but particularly on your children, a negative comment doesn't mean that they have to be amazing all the time, but how you say those words to them is most important in terms of boosting their confidence, making them feel important in your family, making them feel valued, and making their opinions feel valued.
Oh, totally. And was this the main reason that you wrote this book, to draw attention to ill-judged words and how harmful they can be, and that to address this area, we need to start with young minds?
Absolutely, because a lot of children, especially bullies are not born bullies.
No.
People aren't born with ill intentions, but over time, they use their words in a way that does have a bullying effect on other people, and kids should understand that. So if you tell somebody that they're not good at something, or you're dumb, it doesn't make them feel great. I mean, there's no reason to call somebody stupid, because you might be joking around, but that might hurt somebody's feelings, or if you continue to question them, well, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? It's a question like why is also, it makes you doubt yourself. So for children, especially as they're growing up, especially in a family, you should make them feel that their opinions are valued, that what they have to say is important. And you might disagree with them, but that's okay. You let them express themselves, and that's the key.
It is, because sometimes you can use words over a long period of time. Oh, you're boring, you're not interesting. Why are you doing this? And constantly being asked that. that can be severely undermining and affect a person's personality in the end, couldn't it?
Well, in the long term, as an adult, it has an impact.
Yeah.
And then because as an adult, then you speak that way to other people.
Yeah.
And then that has an impact. So it's a long-lasting, words are long-lasting, and they don't go away. They they linger when you think about them.
They do. Emmeline, your mother thinks young people like yourself should be made aware of the choice of words they use when talking to your own friends around you. As words, as I said, can be complimentary and harmful, depending on the people who you're talking to. Do you agree with your mum here? What's your view here, Emmeline?
I definitely agree with her because it really depends on what you say. Like what she said, like if you call someone stupid, then it obviously makes the other person feel bad. And sometimes the person who calls you a mean thing might be having something bad at home that isn't that good. So they just take it out on someone else.
Absolutely. And I think it's fair enough to say that very often bullies are cowards in their own way. Mm-hmm. They're hiding something. Would you all agree?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar, you were 13 when you colluded with your mum to do the illustrations. They're simple, but to me effective. Would you like to talk us through some of the illustrations and what they mean to you? And for example, on page 19 of the book, you have what I see as stick characters, and you're quite happy for me to call them stick characters.
Yes.
On one side of the divide, you have two characters with angry faces, not facing each other. And on the other side, you have the characters embracing each other. What are you trying to say here, Oscar?
Well, on the side on the left, from when you're looking at it, they're obviously angry at each other and they're both looking away. And it's making both of them angry and they're both disappointed in each other. Whereas on the other side, they're both being happy together and they're both embracing it. And overall, they're both happy, whereas the other people are both angry. So if you're treating people in a nice way, they'll treat you in a nice way in return, and you'll both be happy. And if you treat someone in a bad way, they'll treat you bad or you'll make them feel bad, and then you'll both be sad as a result.
I think that is a fantastic answer. I couldn't put it better myself. The other illustration I want to take you to, Oscar, is on page 23. Now, this illustration caught my eye. And it's the illustration where you have got on one side of the divide, one of the characters, the stick characters with an angry face, pointing at the other stick character who's got tears in their eyes, tears flowing down their cheeks. And there is a series of bubbles above the head of the angry person. And you've got people sitting around a table. Now, on the other divide, you have got smiley faces. And even when you look at the table of the people sitting in that bubble at the top, they're all smiling. What's the point behind this illustration? What are you getting at?
This is supposed to show how the influence of your family can affect you directly and how you treat other people. So in the one where the guy's being angry and is saying bad things to someone who's already sad, if you look in the image, at the dinner table, they're all feeling sad. It's not a very welcoming environment. So he's suffering or struggling at home and feels just to take it out on other people. And then in the other one where they're smiling, they're all supportive of each other and they're all having a nice time. So it overall means that that person is a happy person. So he doesn't need to feel good out of making someone else feel bad. So he makes them feel good instead, and they both feel good as a result.
Yes. I thought that's what the message was. And I have to say, Oscar, it is brilliantly captured in your illustrations. I think when people see the book And they'll see, yes, they are very simple illustrations, but there are very deep meanings behind them, aren't there, Oscar?
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you. Emmeline, Oscar, since your mother wrote this book, are you both more conscious about the words you choose when talking to people, especially your friends?
Yeah, most definitely. Like, you can understand now that even saying a joking thing that you might have said and thought it would be funny has an impact on them. And even though you think that they'll be fine and they'll laugh it off, they might actually take it a bit closer than you expect. So you should just be careful about what you say to people, even if they are close friends, and especially because they might trust you and think that what you're saying is true.
Emmeline, would you agree with Oscar?
Yes, I would agree with Oscar.
Wow. Paola, can I come back to you?
Yes, of course.
Since the kids have taken the show over.
Oh, that's good. It's a book for kids to learn.
It's a book for kids, everyone. Yes, it is a book for kids. This is why I asked if the kids would come on, because it's all about, kids, and it's written for kids, or shall I say, young people, to be more appropriate. I think it's not fair to say, Emmeline and Oscar, young kids. You're young people. The book is written in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and French. Why is that? Or was this for you trying to reach a more global market with your book?
Well, I believe it's very much a global issue. And as it sort of describes in the book, it's not about how rich you are, how much money you have, where you are in life. It affects everybody. It doesn't matter how educated you are. It happens all over the world. Bullies exist everywhere. So I thought, well, I have the opportunity to speak French, English, and Spanish, so why not share that message with everybody in the best way I know how, which is through words. So that's why I thought, since I have that opportunity, that's a good thing to do, to broaden my reach, a message for everyone.
Because
I hold it very dear.
Yeah. Harmful words can be used in any language, and there's no geographical boundaries, is there?
No, not at all.
No. This book for me, Paola, is you making people, in particular young people, to be more aware of the words they choose to speak to those around them. And having chatted to you over the last few days and having learnt a little bit about yourself, I think this book you've purposely written to convey a messages that have come from your own personal life experiences, both recently and over a sustained period. Would you care to open up to everybody? Am I right here? That was the reason you wrote this book? This is from the heart?
Very much so. I felt for many years that, what I had to say was not important, that I was made to feel insignificant over time, just with small words. Nothing harmful, nothing rude, nothing that says, it was just a questioning constantly. So I understand the impact of it. I know the impact that it had on me, which was quite severe. So, and unfortunately, my children had to see that, which is most unfortunate. But that's something that I thought that writing this book for them also to understand how important it is for them to know that what they say and how they say it affects people.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to go just off the track a little bit here. I was, when I worked in the bank, we went on a course about body language, and I've just picked up the body language that you were talking there, and Oscar put his arm around you as support.
Mm-hmm.
He did it without, there was no, he wasn't conscious of doing it. Yes, he just automatically did it. And body language is just as important, everybody, as words.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes people say something, Emmeline, but they don't their body language is saying they don't mean it. And that, again, is harmful and another form of bullying.
hmm And that's the beauty about children, because children don't have all the baggage and all the things that make them judge what actions they should be doing. So it's a very spontaneous, and that's that's the beauty about children. And as parents, it's up to us to nurture that so that they continue to be passionate and empathetic and not stop doing those things.
Oh, absolutely. Paola, I quite like the sentence you use on page 18. Quick flick through the book here. So, and I'm going to see what it is. So this is the sentence, this is the line, everybody. So imagine the impact of your words on others, just like those words can make you friend or a bully. Which are you? Think about it. Which would you rather be? You have a choice. This is quite a strong message for young kids, young adults, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was and ultimately that's exactly what it's about. In life, we all have a choice as to how we can make others feel. And so if we know that what we're doing is not right and that it's going to hurt someone, then perhaps think about it and say, well, if I said that to myself, how would I feel? And often we bully ourselves by telling ourselves these things too. So words, we have to choose what we say to others, what we say to ourselves, and be open to thinking a little bit more about what we say.
We say we learn how to treat others from our own families, and Oscar touched on this when some of the illustrations, which I thought were, again, was wonderful. Do we, do we like, it's about how we like to be treated at home. Do we like how we are spoken to? How do we like to make others feel? Words are important. You cannot take back words once they are out there. Now, you've already, all three of you, said this, but you actually say this in the book itself.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite a significant message you're getting across here. And this comes from the heart and your own personal experiences. I'm right here, aren't I?
Very much so, because words are not like somebody punching you. They're things that...
words can punch you.
That's it, but they don't leave physical bruises that people can see.
Yeah.
And so often it's not understood why you reacted a certain way or what impact that has had on you in the long term. If you're constantly telling your child that they're not that great, well, they're not going to feel great, and nothing you do will make them. They're not going to feel great if you as a parent are not telling them that they're good. And if someone else tells you that, it also has an impact.
I mean, when you look at the book, everybody, yes, it's a very short book. It's a very small book. And on each page, there's not a lot on each page. There's a sentence or a couple of lines in each language, English, French, and Spanish. It's not the volume here. It's what's the underlying message that sentence has. And there are a lot of question marks in these sentences. So the purpose of the book, everybody, is to make people, young minds, think. I'm right, aren't I? That's the whole purpose of the book.
Absolutely. It's not to tell people what to think, because obviously there's lots of different cultural things that influence how people think, but it's just to make you feel that, think about what you might say. Like, regardless of where you come from, attaching whatever cultural background you have, whatever's appropriate for your background, that's really the message.
And the illustrations, Oscar, again, they are quite simple, but you've got to search the faces and what's in those bubbles to see what the message is. I'm right, aren't I?
Yeah, so most of the images, not only do they show you like the first glance, it sort of tells you what's going on. But in some of the images, like especially that one with the dinner, where you got the people on the table's influence, it shows how you can't just learn it by looking at it straight away. You have to actually care enough about the topic to spend some time into actually looking about important things in photos. And like in these images, it shows you how, although on the outside they seem the same, the inside is actually what makes most of the difference. So it's more about your upbringing and how you can be impacted and how your emotions inside affect how you treat other people around you, especially if you are heavily influenced or have a tough time at home, then you'll very much reflect that in how you treat other people outside of your house or at school.
Emmeline, would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
Wow. Again, I think, Oscar, you've prejudged the next question here. Your book is full of underlying thoughts, not only for young minds, but I would say for society as a whole to think about. Where can people get your book, Paula?
It's available on Amazon and Booktopia, and in Sydney it's available on Dimex Online, and Barnes and Noble in America. And it comes as an ebook as well, which is a simpler version, which is easy to use, easy to project. And the idea is that my simple idea is that it be shared with everyone, regardless of where they are, because it's not, whilst it is a children's book, it does actually
have grown-up
it
messaging.
is actually for adults as well, because think about how you talk to your children, think about how you talk to your co-workers. As a boss, think about how you talk to your staff, because if you want great performance, you've got to talk to your staff nicely. If you want, as a teacher, if you want your students to respond to you, well, yelling at them is not going to be the answer. So, so it's really actually a book for everybody, but it's written quite simply so that everyone can understand it, and it's sort of starts, I think, with kids and can go from there.
Because, when you worked, say when I worked in a bank, there was a way of getting people to do something. You don't have to push them, be demanding. You can ask politely, but yet firmly.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
Very much so.
You can tell somebody to do something by using a different word. And that's what this book is about, everybody. So it doesn't come across as bullying or being harmful or spiteful to your people who you work with or your friends or, people around you. And that's what this book is all about. It's simple, it's plain, but there are a lot of thoughts and messages to consider here. What, Paula, do you want people, especially young people, to take away from your writing as a general whole?
As a general, it's really just to be more mindful of in our society. It's so easy to be overwhelmed by so many things. So to be mindful, particularly of the words that we have access to, is really quite important, because those words, all of them, have an impact on those around you.
Would you agree, Oscar, that even when you play your sports, you play your football, your actions and your words that you use on the playing field are, to be carefully thought through?
Well, yes, most definitely, because although some people might use the excuse of it's part of the game, or you're using it only at the time to try and influence them into a bad mistake, they still mean something, and they're still words. And as you know, you can't take words back. So I think even though you're on the different team to them in a sporting sense, you're all on the same side when it comes to emotions and treating each other fairly. So you should still try and treat them nicely. Just maybe just not be mean to them. it doesn't matter if you're better or worse than them at the game you're playing. You should just treat them as if they're human, I think. I don't think you should be mean to them just because you feel like it.
Emmeline, what do you think here? Do you treat your friends nicely? Do they treat you nicely?
Yes, they do. I also play a few sports. I do gymnastics, and I'm playing netball right now. So after the game today for netball, we all said good game, because like we're still being nice in the way, even though my team won. But that doesn't really matter in the end.
It's about competing, isn't it? Yeah. I've certainly, learned a lot from your book, Paula, and it's made me think quite a bit and to reflect on some of the words that I use to people at times. And so for me, it's been a very powerful book. It's a short book, everybody. It's a simple, structured, but powerful book. So I simply say, so go and give Paola Iglesias a read, everybody. And show the book to your kids, to the young minds, and just let them read it for themselves and then contemplate, what do these words mean in this book? And let them think for themselves, let them answer the questions, let them think for themselves how they react and talk to their friends around them in school and in sport in general. So I think that the choice of the title of the book, Words Choose Wisely, was brilliant. It absolutely sums it all up. So 3 words, 3 very powerful words, everybody, sum this book up. And I just want to say congratulations and thank you to all 3 of you for being involved in this book. But I have to ask now, Emmeline and Oscar, are you very proud of your mum?
Yes.
Yeah, we're definitely proud of her and how she's not only able to excel in her work, but she can also write a book and can use her skills to help other people, not just herself. It's great to be able to help the community and make sure that everyone can improve. And yeah, as the book means, be nice to everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even, and one day perhaps your mum will design you a dream home. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, maybe.
She might waive her fees. Do you think so?
I'm not sure about that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear that? Everyone not sure about that? Yes. They might get a discount, but they're not getting them waived. I simply want to say, Paula, Emmeline, Oscar, thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you,
for having
John.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's been a huge pleasure. As I say at the end of each week, everybody, I'm JT Crowley. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you are in the world. So until next time, stay safe.